Hey everybody, today we're going to be taking a look at 0.8.0, the Ascension update. Let's take a look at what we got. Alright, so the first thing we're looking at here is a new map called Ascend. Coincidence. So creeps will spawn at these two spawners down at the bottom here, and they'll kind of work their way up these steps to the top. You'll see that there's some center bridges here that allow you to kind of shunt the creeps over to the other side if you want to double them up. Might take a little bit of planning to figure out the best route through this one. You can see that there's these side platforms here. This is a really good spot for maybe like a Gatler or something, as it can shoot down to the platforms below. Seriously. Yeah, this map's got a lot of verticality. It shows off the 3D quite well, I think. Okay, so that's enough for the normal maps. Now we're getting on to some weird stuff. This map is called Phase, and you'll notice it looks pretty strange. So I've added a new thing, these TELE-PORTALs. And they allow creeps to travel between these lines here instantaneously. So I'm just going to show you what these look like in practice. So you can see creeps coming out of the portal, they're going to walk their way over to this other one, and zip, instantaneously to the other side. So I'm going to jump ahead here, and you can see that I've laid out a bit of a maze. Creeps are getting pushed down to the lower platform, then over, back up, back to the original platform. Making use of these teleporters is pretty critical, and this map is pretty difficult. It is far down the list, so let's take a look at a bit of an easier one. This map is called Binary, and it also utilizes the teleportals. So you can see that the creeps spawn at the bottom here, work their way up this side platform. You've got 4 teleportals that give you opportunity to kind of push creeps back and forth between this other platform on the other side, and then up to the driller above. This one is kind of like the tutorial for these teleport bridges, and it'll appear much higher up on the list. It shouldn't be too difficult, pretty straightforward. But yeah, these teleportals are a new thing. It'll take some getting used to. And we have a randomized map that utilizes teleportals. Shunt. So you can see as I'm flipping through the randomized states here, your drillers are appearing in different places, spawners in different places, the teleporters are hooking up in different locations. This one will be pretty mentally taxing, I think. Good luck, everybody. But yeah, teleportals are now a thing. If anybody has any cool map suggestions for the future that utilizes these, please let me know. I'm always looking for new ideas. But yeah, let's move on to something else. So, it's been a while since I made a new creep type, so I figured I'd get on that. I've made a new one called the Hustler. And it's a boss creep, and every time it squawks, the creeps around it will pick up the pace a little bit, so you can see these runners are getting hustled, and they're moving real fast.
What you get for being dumb?
So these guys are kind of nasty. They can speed up large groups of creeps, so you're going to want to proactively get out there and kill these guys as fast as you can. They don't have any weapons to shoot back at you, but they will spawn stingers when they die. Hustlers can't hustle each other, and they don't hustle other boss creeps or leviathans. I'm not that mean. Just a little bit mean. But yeah, watch out everybody. A new boss creep has entered the arena. Okay, so another thing I spent quite a bit of time on this update is a whole bunch of new artifact mods. Let's take a look at what some of these look like. So I've got the Pulsar here, which has a plasma volley on hit. So you can see that its shots are breaking off into new ones when they make contact with creeps. So something like this would pair really nicely with multi-shots. So here we got the Toxic Launcher, and it can shoot these little toxic homing darts in addition to its cloud. And man, it was quite difficult to get this to all work in harmony with the bullet system. For the most part, bullets want to be attached to like a turret, like it's their owner. Having these what I call orphan bullets that are not necessarily the same type of bullet the turret normally fires was a pretty new concept, a lot of code rework. I can't help but laugh sometimes trying to come up with the names for these systems, like the Orphan Manager, or the code that's in charge of recursively destroying all children. It's pretty grim in here in Visual Studio. So here we see the SRM. It drops an electric cloud that the creeps pass through and take damage, really good against shielded units. Here's a new artifact type for the Ranger, so when it makes contact, it fires out little SRM shots. So this is another example of a turret that manages multiple bullet types. So here we have a new one for the beam emitter, so when the beam ends, it has a chance to drop an Inferno Cloud. And creeps that pass through it will get burned. I also have a similar property on the Flame Turbine here, so at the end of its jet, it has a chance to drop an Inferno Cloud because what's better than fire? Well, more fire. Of course. Also added a new one for Brian, where he has a very, very small chance of kill everything, enraging himself when he shoots. It doesn't last as long as the ability you can cast, but it's still pretty handy. Because a pissed off Brian is a force to be reckoned with, I'll tell you.
Freaking out over here. Just letting you know.
We'll move on to a couple little small things before I end the video here. So, one thing I noticed is that people chronically get killed off playing hairpin by the porters. So, this game's got a lot of weird creeps with weird behaviors, and while a callout does appear when you've encountered them the first time, usually that's kind of too late to make a plan, so some of these early maps that introduce weird creep types will tell you that ahead of time so you can kind of at least be in the know and make a little bit of a plan.
What happens if I start pushing some of these buttons?
Yeah, not good. Also made a little tiny tweak to controller mode, so if you're playing on the Steam Deck, you will have your own setting for controller mode, which will default to on. And when you're playing normally, the controller setting will use a different value, so if you're switching between the PC and the Steam Deck, your settings will be exclusive to those devices. Just in case anybody notices that's a little strange. Okay, so that's all I got for this update. It was a little bit of a small update, but I didn't want to delay it any longer and just get moving on 0.9.0. Also did a couple of weird experimental things that I ended up not being happy with, so it did kind of eat a little bit of time. Tried to make a flying boss creep and it really sucked.
Look, you walked right into that one.
Might try again in the future, but I didn't want to hold it up any longer. So, 4 new maps, teleportals, the Hustler, a whole bunch of artifact mods, and a pile of little tweaks and bug fixes that you can check out on the patch notes. But yeah, that's all I got for 0.8.0, everybody. See you next time.